أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله، أدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وتركها على محجة البيضاء نهارها ليلها كنهارها. اللهم صل وسلم على هذا النبي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله، الحمد لله, and all praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of all things. I bear witness that there is no other deity but Allah, the one creator, the Lord of the universe. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of his creation, the last of his divine messengers and prophets, is the prophet of Allah, unto whom he subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed the divine verses of the Quran. So Allah make perpetual salat and salam on his prophet until the day of judgment. Ameen. Ameen. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar kabira. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Walillahi alhamd. During these blessed hours of this blessed day of Eid, the Hujjaj, the honored guests of the divine, are or were carrying out a pillar of Islam. And the best act of worship any believer can perform during these blessed days. They were carrying out an act of worship that earned them the best of the divine bounties in this dunya. This day of Eid is the culmination of their long and sacred journey to the house of Allah, answering the profoundly ancient call of our patriarch and prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and following the sunnah of our prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is a day of continued worship, a day of continued praise, and a day of delightful joy in thankfulness to the Almighty Creator for allowing them the completion of their Hajj monastics and the completion of their Hajj rituals. Just yesterday, the day of Arafat, the day of supreme and unconditional divine forgiveness, the day of absolute and profound submission to the one Creator, they had stood in the sacredness of the valley of Mount Arafat. They had raised their hands in supplications to the divine, asking for his divine acceptance, asking for his divine grace, and asking for his divine forgiveness. O Allah, accept from them and accept from all those who ask of you with sincerity and devotion. Ameen. But for those of us who were not fortunate enough to be amongst those who were the guests, the honored guests of Allah in His house, And during that blessed day, Allah had opened other doors of goodness and other opportunities for blessed rewards. Fasting the day of Arafat, for those not making Hajj, is expiation of sins, as reported to us by our Muhammad ﷺ, when he said, أحتسب على الله أن يكفر السنة التي قبله والسنة التي بعده، أي صيام يوم عرفة. In the meaning of, I anticipate its reward, the reward of fasting the day of Arafah. I anticipate its reward from Allah, the expiation of sins from the past year and from the coming year. It is a day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored with special bounties and special forgiveness for those believers seeking to excel in their worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for those desiring a favorable status with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. On that special day, Arafat, we increase our worship of Allah. We increase our asking for His forgiveness, istighfar. We increase our remembrance of Allah, or dhikr. We increase our repentance of Allah. And we increase our making of takbir to please Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so we become deserving of His forgiveness and of His divine bounties. But still, even that special day, a day of Arafat, with all its special bounties and all its special forgiveness, is but a precursor to an even greater day, the day of sacrifice, the day of Eid, a day that is considered to be the best of the days of the year. In fact, scholars have said that it is unequivocally the best of days in the most absolute of terms, as our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had indicated in his hadith when he said, "Inna a'zama al-ayyami 'inda Allah yawm al-nahr." In the meaning of, the greatest of days with Allah is the day of sacrifice. And that is because during the day of Eid, the day of sacrifice, all the Hajj rituals are performed by the Hajjaj. During this day, they throw at Mina. And during this day, they make tawaf and ifadah around the Kaaba in Mecca. And during this day, they shave their heads in following the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And during this day, they sacrifice their hadi, their gift that they had brought with themselves. And during this day, they begin their stay in Mina to make dhikr and to offer special worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even those who are not performing Hajj, those who are not present in the house, in the divine house of Allah, it is the day of worship as well. They pray the Eid Salat, or the Eid prayer. They offer their annual sacrifice, their udhiyah, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They make takbir and they praise Allah for His bounties and for His forgiveness. It is therefore part of the Islamic ruling that such a day be a special day of joy, a special day of worship like no other during the year. And not only is this true for the day of Eid, but also for the days after Eid, the 3 days of Tashriq. They are all days of dhikr, days of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and days of thanking Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق. ليشهدوا منافع لهم ويذكروا اسم الله في أيام معلومات على ما رزقهم من بهيمة الأنعام. In the meaning of, and proclaim the pilgrimage among men. They will come to thee on foot and mounted on every kind of camel, lean on account of journeys through deep and distant mountain highways, that they may witness the benefits provided for them and celebrate the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the days appointed over the cattle which He has provided for them for sacrifice. Eat then thereof and feed the unfortunate poor. And also, for He says subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ, and celebrate, the meaning of, and celebrate the praises of Allah during the appointed days, meaning the days of Eid and the days of Tashriq after Eid. Praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and making dhikr is summarized in the takbir that is usually said during the Eid before the Salat. The well-known wording as reported by us, as reported to us by Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, as he used to say himself, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. To be joyful and festive during these special days of Eid and the days of Tashriq is part of the Islamic spirit of Eid. Anas radiallahu anhu reports to us when the Prophet ﷺ had come to Medina and found out that people of Medina at that time had two special and festive days during which they played and celebrated. It was a tradition that was upheld since the days of Jahiliyyah, the days of before the times of Islam. He said to them, sallallahu قدمت عليكم ولكم يومان تلعبون فيهما في الجاهلية وقد أبدلكم الله بهما خيرا منهما يوم النحر ويوم الفطر. In the meaning of, I have come to you and found you have 2 days for play and celebration from Jahiliyyah. Allah has given you better than those 2 days, the day of sacrifice and the day of Fitr, meaning Eidul Adha and Eid al-Fitr. Scholars have said that this preference, this special preference for these 2 days that Allah has chosen, is because these 2 days of Eid are days chosen by Allah and gifted from Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to His creation. And also because these 2 days of Eid celebrate 2 pillars of Islam, and they crown and commemorate the ending of 2 special periods of worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Hajj and the fasting of the month of Ramadan. They are special days because of the special forgiveness and the special bounties that Allah had reserved for those 2 days, 2 Eid days. During Eid al-Adha, He subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives the Hujjaj, and during the Eid al-Fitr, He forgives the believers who had fasted the whole month of Ramadan. Of the special acts or acts of worship a believer must carry on the first day of Eid is to perform Salat. Many scholars have made the Salat an obligation on Muslims. Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, had said on this subject of Salat Eid, Salat Eid واجبة على الأعيان فإنها من أعظم شعائر الإسلام والناس يجتمعون لها أعظم من الجمعة وقد شرع فيها التكبير. In the meaning of Salat al-Eid or Eid prayer is an obligation on every Muslim, and it is one of the greatest symbols of Islamic worship. People gather to perform it in greater numbers than for Jumu'ah, and takbir has been prescribed for this special salat. Shaykh Muhammad ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, went as far as saying that Salat Eid or Eid prayer is an obligation on every Muslim man because the Prophet ﷺ had ordered people to pray it, and he was constant in performing it to the point where he even ordered women to come and attend the Eid prayers. The khutbah of the Eid, however, is not an obligation. He said, Inna, after he had performed salat, إنا نخطب فمن أحب أن يجلس للخطبة فليجلس ومن أحب أن يذهب فليذهب. In the meaning of, we are about to give khutbah, meaning the khutbah, al-Eid. Whoever wants to stay and listen to the khutbah, they can. And whoever would like to leave, they can. Part of the etiquette of the day of Eidul-Adha is to eat after Salat Eid, and not before, so that one may be able to eat from the animal that they sacrifice, from their own udhiyah. Ibn Qayyim had said, وَأَمَّا فِي عِيدِ الْأَضْحَى فَكَانَ لَا يَطْعَمُ أي الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم حتى يرجع من المصلى فيأكل من أضحيته. In the meaning of, and during the Eid al-Adha, he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to not eat until he came back from the musalla. Then he would eat from the meat of his animal sacrifice, or udhiyah. Of the etiquette also on that day, to take one route coming to the musalla or masjid for the prayer, and all the meanwhile making takbir, and to go back a different way as our Prophet ﷺ used to do. Of the symbols and banners of Eid al-Adha is the slaughtering of an animal. The slaughtering of an animal as an act of closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and following the footsteps of both our Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah says and tells and orders our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and says, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. In the meaning of, so pray unto thy Lord and sacrifice. It is part of Islamic worship to abide by the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it becomes an obligation for all believers who are able to do so on this day of Eid. Through this act of sacrifice, through this act of obedience, a believer is expressing a desire for closeness to Allah and a desire for sincerity in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in following the advice of Allah. As Allah says in the Quran, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. In the meaning of, say, behold, my worship and my sacrifice and my living and my dying are for Allah, Lord of the worlds. He has no partner. This am I commanded, and I am first of those who surrender. أقول ما تسمعون استغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وبعد. Whoever upholds the signs and symbols of this deen, they are in fact treading the path of taqwa, and they are expressing the inner desire imprinted in their heart to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. And whoever honors the symbols of Allah in the sacrifice of animals, such honor comes truly from piety of heart, or taqwa. The days of Eid are not days of play and neglect, but rather they are days of worship and of giving thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The true believer excels in acts of worship during those days and does not put limits on worship, nor does a true believer constrain themselves to performing only one kind of act of worship. Visiting the next of kin, being good to the neighbor, letting go of grudges and displaying acts of kindness and forgiveness, helping the needy and the poor, being a source of goodness to others and to one's own family, are all acts of worship that Allah loves to see in His servants. O Allah, grant us a portion of piety that will hinder us from your disobedience, a part of your obedience that will lead us to your garden of paradise, and a portion of certainty that will alleviate our mundane distresses. O Allah, place not our affliction in our religion. Make not this world our ultimate goal, nor the extent of our knowledge, and subject us not to one who will not have mercy on us. نسأل سبحانه وتعالى أن لا يحرمنا من فضله، فهو سبحانه أهل الفضل والإحسان، يقبل اليسير من العمل الصالح ويتجاوز عن الكثير من الخطايا والذنوب. اللهم تقبل ضحايانا واجعلها لوجهك خالصة. اللهم واجعلنا لك من الذاكرين ولنعمك من الشاكرين ولجناتك من الداخلين. اللهم ارحم موتانا واشف مرضانا والطف بأمة نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، فقد أحاطت بها القلوب وأحدقت بها الخطوب وتداعى عليها كل كافر حاقد ومنافق غلوب. فاللهم رحمتك نرجو فلا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. اللهم تقبل منا ومن المسلمين أجمعين يا أرحم الراحمين. تقبل الله منا ومنكم وشكر الله لكم، وعيد سعيد مبارك لكم ولكم وللمسلمين أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.